So let's start. First, we will prepare the format as usual. Statement of cost for the month of March 2023, output 5,000 units. Now, particulars, cost, total cost. Now in particulars, as we all know, when we start making the cost sheet, first we need to have uh, prime cost. First we need to calculate the prime cost. And for calculating prime cost, we need to take all the direct expenses. So in the question, it is very much clearly given direct materials. Direct material, which is 1,20,000. Next is direct labor, direct labor, which is given in the question. As you can see, it's 1,80,000. Direct factory expenses. Factory expenses, just see in the question. This is factory rent. You have factory expenses 40,000. Then you have direct factory expenses, which is 40,000. So these expenses will be recorded in your statement of cost where you want to calculate the prime cost. We will copy all these costs in the cost column and delete it from here. This is 40,000. Now, we know prime expense is the summation of all the direct expenses. So we will write over here prime cost. After, as we are clear that no direct expenses are left to be recorded in statement of cost. So prime cost will be 1,20,000, 1,80,000 and 1,40,000. So for more clarity, we will write this figure in total cost column so that everyone who is going through statement of cost can clearly understood that this figure has been arrived after adding these total cost, after adding all these direct expenses. So prime cost will be your 3,40,000. It is one of the main component of your cost sheet. Next is factory overheads. We clearly know that after finding out your prime cost, we add factory overheads in your prime cost to find out the factory cost or work cost. Factory cost, first is factory rent. You have to identify all those expenses which have been incurred at the factory floor of the firm. First is factory rent. Factory rent, we all know it's 30,000. So we will write 30,000 in this particular column. After that factory rent, we have power which is given 15,000. Next is factory expenses. Factory expenses. Factory expenses are rupees 8,000. Here it is, they are given factory expenses. 8,000. Next is non-productive wages. If it would have been productive wages, we would have written it in your direct labor, but it is non-productive wages. So non-productive wages are another name for your indirect labor, and the all indirect expenses form the part after your prime cost has been calculated. So they are your part of your factory overheads. After non-productive wages, it has been clearly specified in the question that manager's salary is 15,000, out of which 2 by 3 belongs to the factory. So naturally what we will do, we will write the manager's salary and calculate 2 by 3 of 15,000, which will come out to be 10,000, and it will be recorded under factory overheads. Next is depreciation on plant. Plant we know is a part of a factory premises. So any depreciation on factory plant will be a part of your factory overheads. Depreciation on plant. It will be 25,000. Next is your crane expenses. Crane you already know that it's a part of your factory premises. So any expenses related to crane will be recorded in your factory expenses. Crane expenses are rupees 20,000. Next, after crane expenses, we have gas and water. What expenses could be a part of your factory premises? Gas and water, loose tools, and haulage. Gas and water, it's of rupees 3,000. Then loose tools are again a part of your factory expenses. It's like 400 rupees. Next is your any expenses if we have left, just let us go through it. Yes, we left haulage. Haulage is a part of your factory premises. We will write haulage in your factory overheads. So these are the expenses which we will record in your factory overheads. 1,000. Now, after adding factory overheads and prime cost, another expense we also left, that is drawing office salaries. Drawing office salaries is basically paid to worker, to engineer of factory building. So it will be recorded under your factory overheads. So it will be 8,000 rupees. And when prime cost and factory overheads are added, we get the work cost. Work cost, and that is rupees. After adding, we will get, after adding this figure, we will get a figure of 1,70,400, and after that 5,10,400. So this is your work cost. So we will make it slightly bold. Now, we are halfway through in making statement of cost. We have prime cost and we have work cost. Now, after work cost, if we add office and administrative overheads in our work cost, we get cost of production or office cost. Office and administrative overheads are basically expenses which are related to the office premises, which are basically related to administrative responsibilities of the firm. So in this particular case, we have First is office rent. Office rent is 20,000. We will record it over here. 20,000. Next is your light, which is 6,000. Next is your, yes, manager's salary. Manager's salary, it is specifically given in the question of in 15,000, 1 by 3 is your manager's salary. So manager's salary, 1 by 3 of 15,000 will give you 5,000. Next is your depreciation on office equipment. There is some typing mistake, no problem. Depreciation on office equipment. This is 5,000. Next is counting house salaries. Counting house salary is a part of salaries to the people involved in administrative tasks. So we will write counting house salaries in your office and administrative expenses. I think we are done with all the cost. After adding this cost, we will get a figure of 82,000. And after adding this 82,000 and 5,10,400, we will get a figure of 5,92,400. And this 5,92,400 is your office cost, or you can say or cost of production. So we will make it in bold so that it is more clear to the viewers that these are one of the main components. Now in office and administrative expenses in cost of production, we will add selling and distribution overheads. Selling and distribution overheads will be added, and selling and distribution overheads are basically those expenses which are incurred while we are doing the process of selling, that is making the product finally available to the customer. It can be include all your distribution expenses, all your advertisement, marketing, selling, commission to salesmen. These are all included in your selling and distribution overheads. First expense, as we can say, showroom rent. Yes, it is a part of your selling process. So definitely it will be included in your selling expenses. It is 40,000 rupees. It is 40,000 rupees. Next is your estimating expenses. Estimating expenses are part of your selling expenses. 500 rupees. Next is your advertisement. Advertisement. It is 50,000 rupees. Next is sales commission. Sales commission. Sales commission is 20,000. Next is bad debts. Bad debt is 9,000. Next is anything else? Sales salaries. Sales salaries 60,000. Next is carriage outward. It is also again a part of your sales process. 10,000. 10,000. This is 10,000. Next is your carriage outward. We have covered. Anything we left? Yes, we left delivery van expenses. Delivery van expenses are a part of your selling and administration overheads. So they will be included in your statement of cost in your selling and distribution component. Delivery van expenses, carriage outward, sales salaries, I think we are left with nothing. And yes, we are left with interest on capital, we are left with cash discount allowed. But these expenses will not be recorded in your statement cost because by nature, these expenses are part of your financial management. So that's why these are your financial cost. They are not your production cost or any type of cost, and financial costs are not a part of your statement of cost. That's why these expenses will not be recorded anywhere and are totally excluded. Now, after adding selling and distribution overheads in office cost or cost of production, we will get cost of sales. Cost of sales. Cost of sales is, this is, if we will do the total of these figures, we will get 2,04,500, and after adding these figures in these two figures, we will get total cost of sales, which is 7,96,900. Now, I think there is certain typing mistake. 7,96,900. Next is sales. Sales is given to us in the question, which is 8,50,000. 8,50,000. Now sales is, when we will subtract cost of sales from sales, we will get profit. 8,50,000 minus 7,96,900, we will get 53,100 as a profit figure. Now suppose if this figure would have been bigger and this must have been smaller. Sorry, this would have been smaller and this figure would have been bigger than this. definitely company would have been gone into losses. But our sales are more and cost of sales is less, then we will get profit. If our cost of sales would have been more and sales would have been less, we will be incurring losses. So this is our final figure. So once again, I explain what we have done is we have prepared statement of cost. Statement of cost with the help of various figures given in the question. First, we have tried to find out what is prime cost. Prime cost is direct material, direct labor, and direct expenses. All the direct expenses have been added, and we have find out the prime cost. After prime cost, in prime cost we have added factory overheads. Factory overheads are expenses related to your factory premises, expenses done in your factory premises. This could be factory rent, power, factory expenses, non-productive wages, manager's salary, depreciation on plant, crane expenses, gas and water, loose tools, haulage, drawing office salaries. These are all your factory overheads, and when they are added in your prime cost, we get the work cost. So how we get the work cost? We get the work cost after adding all factory overheads in your prime cost. After we get the prime cost, we will add all the office and administrative expenses. Office and administrative overheads are basically the expenses which are done on in the administrative tasks and responsibilities of the firm. So in this case, we have office rent, light, manager's salary, depreciation on office equipment, depreciation on plant is a part of your factory expenses, but depreciation on office equipment, it has been clearly given, will be a part of your office and administrative overheads, and counting house salary is a part of administrative responsibilities, so it will be included in your office and administrative overheads. Now this work cost and office administrative overhead added, we get office cost, and which is also called by another name, which is that is cost of production. After adding work cost and office and administrative overheads, we get cost of production. Now in cost of production, we will add selling and distribution overheads. Selling and distribution overheads are basically the expenses which are incurred when we are finally selling the product in the market. It can be your marketing expenses, it can be your salesman commissions, or any expenses which are done in making the product finally available to the customer, directly or indirectly linked, are considered as selling and distribution overheads. These are showroom rent, estimating expenses, advertisement, sales commission, bed debts, sales salaries, carriage outward, delivery van expenses. And when these expenses are added in cost of production, we get cost of sales or total cost. Now sales figure is given in the question, and sales minus cost of sales will give you the profit, which is 53,100. Now suppose if cost of sales is higher and sales is lower, definitely there will be no profit, there will be a loss. If cost of sales is more than the sales, definitely the company will be incurring losses, but in this case the company is incurring profit. So this is all about the statement, and we have covered almost all the aspects related while we are preparing the statement of cost.